Hey everybody, it's Justin Warnke here with the F&G Annuity Sales Team. Uh, I get the pleasure of getting to talk to you about a lot of different things today. Uh, so I am a senior internal wholesaler here with F&G. Uh, if you have any questions, if you'd like to go over any cases, anything of that nature after our conversation today or after our training today, do feel welcome to reach out. I'm going to start sharing my screen here. I got a lot of really good material for you, and it's going to take about the whole time for us. So I am bringing up my screen now. Uh, and what you're going to be seeing here is first, you get to see all of F&G's product lineup. If you take out your phone and you want to take a screenshot of the little QR code there, what that's going to allow you to do is actually access our microsite at F&G without having to log in. So you can go in there, you can review anything on the microsite with it. It gives you nice little details about the actual products inside of it, what the rates are, the marketing material around them as well, and just a little bit more about their indices. So it's a great additional resource for you. I'll also drop a link to it in the chat just as a heads up for us later in case you don't capture it. So what I would like to go over with us today is you see that we have several different products, right? And it's kind of always, what do I write? What type of occasion do I use this for? What's the best product for my clients? So looking at what F&G has to offer for us, we're going to start by diving into our top level income solution. Then we'll be moving along to a hybrid solution, which is kind of like a accumulation product as well as a great income. We'll tackle a big bonus accumulation product then for us. And then lastly, cover kind of a legacy focused. So more or less, how can we preserve your death benefit? With level income, where we're going to be starting is safe income advantage. Safe income advantage is huge for us. Uh, the reason why it's so great is it grows in a few different ways. So the way that it's growing, or the ways that it's growing, is the account value has links to the indices. It's a fixed indexed annuities. Uh, but it also has this 7.2% compounding roll up on the income benefit base. What that gives your client is it guarantees them that if they defer income, it can roll up by 7.2% per year. And the nice part about that 7.2% is it's not just credited one time at the end of the year like most products out there. It's actually accruing a little bit each day. So Safe Income Advantage, it has top level income with its dynamic payout factors on there, which I'll show you an example of what I mean. And it can change day-to-day basis for a client as well as on their birthday. So the Safe Income Advantage also has the ability for the client to choose one of three different income options. Uh, I see a lot of the level income being chose for us, but it also has available fixed increasing payouts by increasing it by 3.5% per year for them, or inflation tied income, where it increases by anywhere from 0% up to 5% per year. It's based off of the CPIU index for us. So both of those, think of them as payments start off a little bit lower, but they have the ability to increase on a year by year basis until the account value runs out. Once that account value runs out, it will revert the payment back to the single, or excuse me, once the account value runs out for us, it will actually stop growing that income for them. So then it will level off at that higher payout. Uh, Lastly, it does have an impairment multiplier on it. So if the client loses two of the six ADLs, we can double their payment until their account value goes down to zero. Once it goes down to zero, it reverts back to the single payment. I did say I'd tell you a little bit more about the Safe Income Advantage, what it looks like with that 7.2% roll up, and that I had something built, right? So where I went to get this is you have the ability to do this as well. It is out on that F&G website. If you go to the Safe Income Advantage, you don't even need to log in for this. At the very bottom of the page, there's this little button that says Annuity Calculator. You click there, and then it's just a plug and play. So you can start filling out the information inside of it. And after we get the information filled out with it, it will generate a page like this. Now, I just took a 65-year-old client. You know, you have somebody, they come to you and they say, hey, I'm going to be retiring. I have this $250,000 and I'd like to retire immediately if possible. Great. If you want to start income immediately with Safe Income Advantage, day one, you can turn on the income after we've issued out the policy, and you have a guaranteed payout amount for the rest of your life of $18,825. That's pretty awesome, right? That is actually a 7.53% withdrawal rate for immediate income. Now, if you say, well, if you defer it a year, we can get you up to $20,904. If you're talking to this client though, and they say, well, that's great. I might be able to, make it to my next birthday, but my birthday is just a few months away. I'm not going to be able to wait the full year. I don't know if this is right for me. Well, what we can do with that same calculator is we can say, hey, you put this 250,000 with F&G. We're going to defer it for 0 years, but we're going to put it in on your birthday. So your birthday is 8 months away. Great. This 250,000, it's rolling up at the 7.2% per year. So it's changing a little bit day by day. So that income benefit base is increasing. We also hit a new age for it once you had your birthday. So that's increased the withdrawal rate. So not only have you had a higher income benefit base, the withdrawal factor is changing as well. So by you waiting 8 months for this, we've already put you up an additional about $1,300 per year. Enough for a great vacation, something of that nature, additional funds when you would like additional funds in your retirement, your go-go years, right? Now, I did say it does have that impairment multiplier available on it, where an example of it would be if they're getting $25,000 a year, they lose 2 of the 6 ADLs. Anytime after year 3, we will double their payment for the single individual on there, and that will continue until the account value runs out. So no confinement needed. You don't need to have any healthcare happening to you. It's just purely you've lost 2 of the 6 ADLs. You can do whatever you would like to with your doubled out payment. Now, shifting the gears for us, I said we'd talk about the guaranteed income space, right? Guaranteed income, to give you an idea, this was our number 1 seller last year. And I think you can tell why, right? Where it was, what a Safe Income Advantage offer my client, top guaranteed level income. What else does it offer? An impairment multiplier to it. The 7.2% roll up on there. Accruing a little bit each day. So looking at the next one on here on our list, we're going to be changing to more of a hybrid product, because Safe Income Advantage is great for guaranteed income for us. It's not much for market performance, unfortunately. So if we have a client that says, well, I appreciate you trying to get me the highest amount of income on there, but I don't like it that my account value is not really going the way that I want it to go, right? Which is up. So there's still growth potential there. It's just not as great. With a hybrid product, though, we can kind of get you the best of both worlds. So if we look at a hybrid product, we're going to be looking at our Accelerator Plus. Now, Accelerator Plus, it actually has a few really neat features on it. Uh, I always, I will say this is kind of like the fan favorite here amongst the sales team, and it's because it does everything very well. So they get up to an 11% bonus on the Accelerator Plus 10, or up to a 12% bonus on the Accelerator Plus 14. Some states don't allow for the Accelerator Plus 14 for us, but what it offers is the same rates basically as what you would get with a pure growth annuity, but then it has the ability to also generate out a strong income. So the strong income side of things would be it has a 5% backstop to it. So worst case scenario, uh, the initial premiums rolling up at 5% per year. I will tell you that 5%, it doesn't actually come into play for anybody until about year 8 of no performance on the account whatsoever. That's because we have a performance multiplier on the account. So what do I mean by a performance multiplier? Why am I talking about this? What a performance multiplier does, or what this performance multiplier does, is we take the account value, which is premium bonus plus whatever the account has grown to. We multiply it by the performance multiplier number, which is initially 7.5%. And then each year it increases by 7.5%. That will continue until it hits a maximum of 175% of the account value, or 175%, excuse me, on there, up to 5 times the initial premium. So what that means is if we're looking at a fixed indexed annuity and we're looking at, say, roughly a 7% return, so just about double over the course of 10 years, what we could say to somebody is, hey, if you put in $100,000 into a fixed indexed annuity, historically, they've gained about 4 to 6% per year. With current rates, we're looking at closer to about 5 to 90% per year. We may be able to beat that a little bit. So 7% is not out of the realm of things. That would mean that we could take the 7% growth over those 10 years, take it to about double for us, where if we had $200,000 then off of our initial $100,000 investment, you would have a benefit base amount of $350,000, meaning you could have a very great income off of that just based upon whatever the account performance has done. So why would you use this? Right? That's kind of where I get a lot of the questions is, well, why would I use this over the safe income advantage? Why would I use this off of or over a pure accumulation product? Right? And the reason why is when you're talking to a client, they say, I have 5 years, I have 10 years until I want to start utilizing the money. I have 15 years until I need to start accessing my funds from here. I look back a lot of times and I go, well, if you asked me 10 years ago what my bank account would look like today, I would probably be drastically off, right? If you asked me what my goals would be for the funds, my goals have changed drastically over time. So Accelerator Plus can help account for that, where we can say, hey, maybe your goals changed. Maybe you were saying, I want pure accumulation. I want to grow my money as much as possible. And then as you're getting closer to retirement, you start going, well, I'm not really sure if I care too much about if my account value grows. What if I need a great income? I don't want my money to outlast me. I want to outlast my money. Accelerator can put them into a great situation for both. Again, it does have the impairment multiplier feature on it. So if the client loses 2 of the 6 ADLs there, we can go up to 2 times the payment for them until the account value runs out. This product may have a prolonged impairment multiplier as opposed to the safe income advantage, just because it is more growth focused with the account value side. So potential for the impairment multiplier to last a little bit longer. Now, I did run an illustration on the Accelerator Plus as well to show you what it has the power to do. And I put it into 4 different sub accounts for you. The sub accounts are listed there. So balanced asset, S&P 500, Morgan Stanley, and then also a fixed bucket. Overall, over the course of the last 10 years, the client would have netted out about 9.2%. And the least favorable 10 years out of the past 20 years, they still would have been just shy of 8%. Now, each of the sub accounts inside of it or the indices inside of it do have some pretty great performance to them. Just as an example here, we have, the high side of things, we had the low side of things, but jumping into the illustration itself. So we started with 250,000 on here. It did have the bonus get assessed to the account value, so it jumped it all the way up to 275,000. Looking at the end of 10 years, the account value has grown to $602,000. Now, that performance multiplier, how I was saying, it goes up by 7.5%. So take the account value, adding 7.5% to it, get you this base amount. Following year, you do it 323,000, adding 15%, gets you this base amount. It's grown to $602,000. The account value, the living benefit riders base amount has now grown to just over $1 million. This client can take 5% of that $1 million for the rest of their life. They cannot outlive this 52,726. If they lose 2 of the 6 ADLs, they now have access to 105,000 until the account value runs out. In our example here, this client, let's say they live for 10 years. They have taken out $527,000 from their living benefit rider from their account value. The account value is still at $634,000 after $527,000 being withdrawn. Their beneficiary, if they passed away, would get that account value. So not only did we guarantee them their income for life, not only did they have access to that impairment multiplier if they needed it, they still were able to leave some money along to their beneficiary. So, safe income advantage, first product we talked about. Level income, 7.2% roll up, best guarantee income. Accelerator Plus, the hybrid model, right? Built for account value growth, but also built for a great income. Now we're going to look at a pure accumulation play. So I say it's a pure accumulation play. This one does have an income benefit on it as well. But even our suitability team has acknowledged, yes, this is a big bonus accumulation product. It just happens to have an income benefit side to things. So if you're looking for income, I typically will steer you away from Performance Pro just as a heads up. But where does it shine? So Performance Pro, you have access to up to a 15% premium bonus. The product itself costs 10 basis points to it. And it's that big bonus accumulation story with low fee drag. So yes, you can get another accumulation story on the market. Yes, it might go up to the mid 20s, for for a bonus on it. However, once you start seeing those other bonuses, if there's a bonus on the market and say it's a 20% bonus, just as an example, you might be paying 95 basis points for access to that bonus. So 95 basis points over the course of 10 years, that's about 9.5% in fees, right? That 20% bonus that we've guaranteed the client that they're going to get has now been eaten down to about 10.5% due to fees over time. Whereas with Performance Pro, yes, you did get a little bit lesser bonus at 15%. However, over the course of 10 years at 10 basis points, we're looking at you still walking away with about 14% ahead. So the fee drag's not there. Now, with the big bonus accumulation, you're probably saying, well, that's great. Why do you consider it accumulation? With the accumulation side of things, Performance Pro offers some really good heavyweights on it. It offers a gold commodity. So they have access to participate in gold growth. If you talk to anyone currently that pays attention to the market, they might say, hey, what do you have for gold options? How can I get invested into gold? Right? It's very volatile. I don't know if I really want to invest into gold, but I want the benefits of it. We also have on here our Morgan Stanley US Equity Allocator Index. It's a mouthful to say, but what it actually is it's a 2/3, 1/3 strategy for us, where 2/3 are invested into either the NASDAQ or S&P, and then that 1/3 goes into the other one. It has a 12% volatility on it. So think of it as it's a pure equity driven volatility strategy that's comprised of two of the top performing indices out there, the S&P and NASDAQ. Additionally, it does have the S&P 500 options on there. So, it's great that we have this Morgan Stanley. If I said that to a client, if I said, hey, F&G has this Morgan Stanley US Equity Allocator Index, would you be interested in going into it? I'm pretty sure that a client would look at you and go, I have no idea what that is, right? S&P, we can say, hey, do you know what the S&P 500 is? We can get you into an option with that. So you can participate in the upside of things. You can't participate in the downside. Now, the big bonus part. Why would you choose a big bonus product for accumulation when accumulation products out there typically have some pretty high rates, right? With accumulation, I paired it against our own Accumulator Plus. So I typically don't like to look at products that we offer on here to pit them against each other. But the Accumulator Plus has a 9% S&P 500 cap. There's no bells, there's no whistles on it. It's just pure accumulation product. Where Performance Pro has a 6.5% S&P cap. Looking at the two products side by side with the S&P 500, it takes to about year 7 for the pure accumulation product to almost catch up to Performance Pro. It finally surpasses it in year 9, right? And the best part is behind this is that's S&P. That's hitting 7 out of the 10 years for them. So we can say, hey, if the S&P is not going to hit, or if, say, we hit less years with it, say it only hits 6 out of 10 years, you may end up further ahead account value performance-wise with Performance Pro. Now, if you take like a pure accumulation strategy for it, like the Morgan Stanley, that one's going to cut down the time frame a little bit on how quick they catch up to each other. But this just shows the power of a bonus, right? How that additional money that we're giving the client to start off their policy can actually work to their benefit to help them accrue more during the years when they may need it the most. Now, I did say that it does have the income benefit side of things on it. With that 10 basis points, you still get access to the impairment multiplier feature. So it's not going to be as great as Accelerator. It's not going to be as great as Safe Income Advantage. But if somebody is saying, well, I like the idea of potentially getting an income from this. I like the idea of having that impairment multiplier feature on it. Maybe I don't intend to take income, but that impairment multiplier feature that you've been telling me about, that sounds pretty great, right? Being able to double out my payments until my account value goes down to zero. If I lose two of the 6 ADLs, that looks fantastic. I just don't want to pay for it, right? For that 10 basis points per year, if the client's dropping in $100,000 into an account, 10 basis points on $100,000, that's about $100 a year, right? When gas prices were a little bit higher, I'd often say that's the price of one tank of gas for me to have access to an income for life. So Performance Pro, think of it, big bonus accumulation product for us. With that bonus, I will say some things that you can think about if you run into a client is, hey, do you have a current annuity? If you have a current annuity, let's look at maybe replacing it. Let's look at maybe getting into a higher higher index rate stream on here. Let's potentially look at getting you some added features that you might not have on there. And I will say, with that type of thinking on the product, that helped this product actually become number 2 for us last year. The last product that I'll cover today is a little bit of a mouthful for us, just because it does so many things on there, but we're going to break it down for you to it is a income solution, but I'm seeing it used a lot for a death benefit solution. So what I'm talking about is the F&G 123. I'll walk through this product a little bit slower because there is a lot going on with it, but once you catch it on there, it definitely makes sense, and it certainly has a purpose in your practice. What 123 is it's one product solution with a choice of 2 advantageous income options to the client to choose. They do choose which option they want at issue, or at the time of application for us. And then it offers 3 key benefits, which is income, growth potential, and then legacy. So we'll mostly focus on the legacy portion for us. With 123, some unique features about it is a flexible premium product that takes premiums for the first 18 months. It does have a minimum premium requirement of at least $10,000, and then each additional premium would have to be at least $2,000. Within that 18-month period for it, you're paid on the heap commissions. So if you drop in money into the account, or your client drops in the money into the account, you're paid on those. That gives you the opportunity to perhaps go through a yearly review with your client and say, hey, we dropped in $10,000 into here. Here's what the performance is. Here's the value add that we added to this on here. It accepts money for an additional 6 months. Would you like to add additional funds into it? Right? That way it's showing the client the power of the product. It's also giving you the opportunity to still earn on funds that are added after that initial 12 months. It does have a free withdrawal amount of 10% of the account value that does start right away in year 1. So after 30 days, they can take it. And then each year going forward, they would have that 10% available. And lastly, it has no fee. There's no fee on the product. There can never be a fee on the product. You can't even add a fee to the indices to buy up the rates. So purely a no fee product. Now, I did say the 1, 2, 3 has a lot going on, right? We will tackle the anytime income option first for it, and then we'll start talking about the future income. But what you're seeing on the screen right now is, the first time I saw it, my eyes opened a little bit wide for it, but it's easy to understand once you know what you're looking at. So to start income, if they want an income side of things, they have to be age 50. That's the minimum age they could start it. But right away, they get an income benefit bonus. That income benefit bonus currently is at 35% for the anytime income. During the growth period, so before they turn on income, their income benefit growth is actually occurring at 250% of whatever the account credits. So if there's a 5% credit, you'd actually see the income benefit base amount go up by 12.5%. If the client turns on income, it doesn't lose that growth opportunity. So it can continue to grow the income base into the withdrawal phase. That decreases to 150% of whatever the account credits. So if it's a 5% growth and they're in the withdrawal phase, it's now a 7.5% growth in the income phase. The catch to it is during the growth period of their account value is only growing at 50% of whatever the crediting rate is. So if it's crediting 5%, they get a 50% credit to their account value. So they're getting a 2.5% growth. Why all of that information is important for the legacy play is their income benefit base that can actually be turned into a payout stream to their beneficiary. It has to be over the course of at least 5 years for us. So with the 5 years on there, if that $100,000 has grown up to $250,000 with the base amount, because remember, it's growing at 250% during the growth phase. In that instance, then the beneficiary could get 5 years of payout of $50,000 per year. So here's just some examples of what I was talking about with the $100,000. They get a 5% credit, grows to $102,000, or gets that 2.5% credit to it. Their income benefit base, though, at the end of the first year. So say we're in that growth period, anytime income, they get a 5% credit their first year into the account. Their income benefit base is already grown by 35% due to that bonus. Now we're adding an additional 12.5%. So that 5% interest credit multiplied by 250%. Their income benefit base amount at the end of year one has already gone to $151,000. So if they passed away at that point, their beneficiary is getting roughly $30,000 per year over the course of 5 years. Now, if they turned on the income stream, remember it goes to 100% participation credit with a 150% multiplier on it. So no longer the 250% growth rate for them, but it will continue to grow their income benefit base on there. So their beneficiary still has that strong option. Now, the second one that we're looking at is the future income option. Future income option, we can read it the same way. This one's a little bit less confusing with the numbers wise, because day one, they get a 50% credit to their income base amount. During the growth phase and income phase, their income base amount's growing at 150%. And then during the growth phase and income phase on the interest crediting for their account value. It doesn't get cut down at all like the anytime income does for them. It just grows at 100%. Now, we call it anytime income and future income because anytime, like it says, can start anytime. Future income, they can start an income stream after 10 years. So during that growth period, with the future income, if there's a 5% credit, great, they get a 5% credit to the account. If there's a 5% credit, they also get the 7.5% credit to their income base amount. What's that look like after the first year? Right. So first year comes along, they have $100,000, they get the 5% credit. Great. Their account value has gone up by 5%. Their income base amount, though, not only did it have the initial $50,000 added to it, it's now getting 7.5% added onto it. So they now have a death benefit payable of the $161,000 over the course of at least 5 years. This is why I call it a legacy play, or this is why I'm focusing on it as a legacy play, is because the value there is we can guarantee your client that they get this income benefit bonus to it, and that's going to be paid out to their beneficiary if they pass away. So it has a very tempting story to it where it's, hey, day one, what would I tell you if I can take that $100,000 that you're giving me and we're going to put it into the F&G future income? You now have a $150,000 death benefit. If you pass away, your beneficiary can walk away with an additional $50,000 as to what you gave me. Pretty convincing story. So the death benefit, they can take it in two different options. First option is they could look at the account value, say, hey, I want the account value. I want to take this out. I want it just one time. I don't want to take it over installments. Great. If you do that, you get the account value. You don't get the income base amount, but you can walk away with that lump sum. If you want to, though, we could look at taking the income base. That income base, it does have to be paid out in installments, and the minimum time frame for it is at least 5 years. So has to be done over the course of at least 5. Since it does have that free death benefit feature to it, we have to have some caps or some limits on there. If we're running this scenario together, I can help you with that part of it. Typically, it's just saying, hey, 250% of the account value is the maximum that we can have the death benefit, since it's a free death benefit out there. And there's some states that they're called compact states that they say, well, this is really great, but we are going to kind of kneecap the product a little bit for you, where the maximum that we could do is 125% of the surrender value. So that one is a little bit different, but we can walk over that together. So here's the future income. Here's what it looks like. Here's $100,000 state of Arizona. I dropped it into the S&P 500. This is the guaranteed rates page, though. So guaranteed rates page, the way that I always think of this one is this is the worst case scenario for your client, right? This is the doom and gloom scenario. This is, hey, the market hasn't performed, and most likely we are going through some other kind of times out there. But this is worst case scenario. Our 60-year-old client, they can't turn on income for at least 10 years because it's the future option. So if they wanted to, they could turn on an income at that time. It's guaranteed to be at least $8,010. But if they passed away on here, so they dropped $100,000 in, they get in a car accident, F&G's on the hook for this $150,000 over the course of at least 5 years. So there's our $30,000 per year. Now, what does it look like with some type of growth on it, right? I always show this one because I say this is doom and gloom. Here's a realistic look. I put it into the S&P 500 for us point to point with a cap. It hits 7 out of 10 years. This $100,000 has grown the income base amount after 10 years to $261,000. Their beneficiary can now take out $52,254 over the course of at least 5 years for us. So that's within 2 years of them taking payment, they've already taken out more than what you initially dropped in. And that's just assuming there's some kind of performance with the S&P 500 over the course of at least 7 out of the 10 years. So I know I walked through a lot for you, and I said, hey, I will drop out that annuity F&G website into your chat. So I am actually doing that now for you. But I do want to cover a couple of other details. I wanted to give you the opportunity to see what we have to offer here and then take a screenshot of this if you would like. But the next additional pieces that I'd like to cover with you here is if you're new to F&G, which, everyone goes through a new phase with things. Hi, how do you guys work? Where do I go for things? How does your website work? How do you do applications, right? So where you can actually go to is for applications wise, where I go to is the forms and materials. There's going to be one that says online applications. And on the online applications, it'll say the annuity products. Right-hand side, there's a nice little PowerPoint that walks through it. It's about 10 minutes. It gives you kind of here's how Firelight works with it. If there's going to be any issues, here's how you could resolve them. And then it has a nice little Wikipedia page as well, the help and FAQ on there. So if you're getting stuck, if you have, why is this not going through? It'll give you brief little touch points as to why that could possibly be. Lastly, there's this doing business page. So for the doing business page, I will take that and I'll drop that out in your chat as well. But what it gives you is access to Sales Link, how to utilize it. So places to go on Sales Link, how to get familiar with the F&G website. It gives you all the additional pieces here. Do feel welcome. Scan the QR code if you'd like in order to see exactly what we're referencing. And then I do want to say, as always, compliance loves to say hello to everybody that I talk to. Here's our contact information. As you're running cases, as you have questions, if you're looking at a product, if you want help with case design, if you say, hey, Justin was telling me about this really cool hybrid product, and I thought it was really nice, and I just want an illustration, right? I want to see how it could work with my client. Feel welcome. Reach out to us. We're definitely here as another resource for you. And I do want to open it up here. I have your chat open. If you have any questions that you want to ask me, do feel welcome to do so. Awesome. Well, if anyone thinks of anything that they didn't ask today, do feel welcome. Reach out. Certainly here for you. I'll drop that doing business resource out in our chat here. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you later.